Welcome back, my dear students. So in this lecture, what I want to do is I want to serve some JSON data. I know we have done that before, but I want to use the HTTPS module, the HTTP module. I want to use the file system module. I want to show you when we create a server, how we can actually pull information from an API, okay? So let's start playing around with that a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file here. I'm going to call this HTTP. And guys, by the way, every time you create, if you're using WebStorm and you want to create a new file and you right click, you can create your always a JavaScript file. And when you click JavaScript, you don't have to type in the extension, okay? So if I want to say something like HTTP serving uh, JSON or something like that, that file is created automatically for me. That extension, you see that right here, okay? And it will give me a little bit of some information when this was created, which is pretty cool to have, okay? I don't want that though. All right, so the first things that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my HTTPS module because we're gonna be making a request to the JSON placeholder website, and we're gonna need this module. Now remember that if we were using a third-party module, we would not need all this. I'm doing it natively, and we're just doing it the hard way actually. I just want you to kind of build up a little practice app for you in a way, okay? So that way we can practice some of the things that we have learned and learn new things. Okay, let's go. File system. And now what I want to do is I want to create some type of constant here, URL. And I believe we already had this somewhere. We can come back and get that here. I want to make sure I get the right one. There we go. So I'm going to use my HTTP module to create a server. Remember we did that? And let's put the callback function here. We're going to get that request. And we're going to call this the server response. I'm just going to name it differently just because I'm going to be using that response from another callback later. So now that we create a server, let's actually attach a listener here. We can just change this since it's related. And we're going to be listening to port 444 in this case, just to show you that we can use whatever port we want, okay? And let's just put here console.log server is listening. There we go. Okay, so we can check this. Let's see if our server is already running. What is it serving? JSON. Enter. Oops. There we go. You see that? So our service is already running. And with just a little bit of code, guys, a little bit of code. Okay, so the first things first. Now we want to check the requests to see if the request is either a get or something else, right? We want only get requests to hit our uh, application, our routes, right? So we have this request method property here that we can say if this is equal to get, okay, then we can do something. And what I'm going to do is in my application, we want to also have a route that would say something like um, my website. Of course, it's not going to say like this, but we want something like posts. So we want something like localhost post like this. Okay, localhost like that. Okay, so let's also check to see if the route URL is the, equal to posts like this and like that. Okay, just to show you that we can do that. Let's use our HTTPS module now, and let's make a get request. So I'm gonna use that URL that we got on top here to make a request to JSON to this URL. And let's bring the callback, and let's just call this HTTP response object. Okay. Now, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be listening for a response, a data event. Okay. And when we get that data event, of course, we're gonna have a callback function, but we can use just this syntax here just to bring back that callback instead of just using that other syntax in the beginning that I showed you about. Okay, just like this. Okay, so now that we have this here, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and set the encoding. Okay, and just in case, so we don't get that binary data. Okay, we want to get our data in UTF encoding. Okay, with all the right characters. Encoding, and my editor is not helping me with this, but pretty sure I got it correct. Now let's do UTF-8, and we want to make sure that this is working, so I'm going to console log this data. Okay, and let's check it out real quick to see if that's working. Let's do node service listening, and let's come back here again. Oh, we have to hit that data right here to see that. So local 444 and then post, enter, and now we're hitting that, and we have some type of error here. Let's come back here. It's not a function. Oh, I misspelled that. I knew I was misspelling it. And coding. There we go. Let's do that again. Let's hit that, and now you can see that it keeps going. Okay, that means it's still making a request, and you can see all the posts here being pulled in. Okay, so it's working. Now we need to end it. All right, so let's go and get to that. You see how easy this gets. Now let's listen to another event here. And some of you might be thinking, wow, Edwin, this is super hard, and this is something that I cannot memorize. And you're right. Okay, you don't need to memorize all this. Remember that we're doing it the hard way first, because you need to learn this, and then we are going to be doing it the easier way later. So don't worry too much about this. I just want you to get the concept of it. Okay, how you can do it with Node, with the core, with the native modules. So now what I want to do is I'm listening for an end event here. Okay, and when that's over, okay, when that request is over right here, when we get to that 100 posts right here, okay, I want to do something. And just to show you that that's what it does, I'm just gonna say it's over, just like that. So now let's go ahead and execute that file again, and there we go. Now let's go and make that request, and you can see this going around here. Okay, now you see the here that request is over. Okay, that's because that is done getting all that data. Now we need to close this though. Okay, so let's close that because that keeps going around. So I believe I have a variable there up there that we can end it with right here, the response from this original server down up here. Remember that we are creating the server. Now we need to end it. Okay, so that it knows. Now let's go ahead and Control C again. Let's node, and let's make that request. Look at this, and you see that that stopped. Refresh, and you see it goes around a little bit and then stops. That's because we are ending that response. And now look at this. We still get our data back here. So I'm just gonna clear this. Oops. Control C, and I'm gonna clear this. Let's go back here. Let's do that again. Oops. We gotta turn on the server though first. There we go. It's listening. Let's refresh. Now come back and you can see all the posts again here. So we are golden here, okay? Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this lecture just the way it is right now, just because it's getting kind of long. But on the next lecture, we're gonna continue building on this. But I hope that you see the benefit. I mean, not just the benefit, the knowledge here. What there's a lot of stuff to learn, but I hope you see the flow, how it works. Okay, we are practicing some of the things that we have done before. And if you're not writing the code, I want you to stop whatever you're doing. If you're watching, I want you to pause the video and I want you to write all this code that I just written here so that way you can get some practice. And then we're going to continue on the next lecture, okay? So, and we're going to go over it once I'm done with it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next lecture.